Yo, what's going on, guys? In this video, I'm going to be going over the early slate, the MLB early slate on DraftKings for Thursday, August the 29th. I do have two videos going up today, obviously this one, and then after I upload this video later tonight, I will be making a video for the night slate. I believe there's 6 night games. I'll be covering DraftKings and Yahoo in that video. But for this video, we're going to start off with the 4-game early slate. We'll start off with pitching, work our way through the pitcher-player pool. I'll be sure to hit on all the options that I like for today. Then we'll talk about 3 specific hitters I really like. We'll look at some stacks I'll be going to, and then towards the end of the video, we will cover some BVP plays. Before we do get started, guys, I would appreciate it if you would drop a like on the video, and if you are new to the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button down below so that way you don't miss out on any of my new videos. So at the top of the pitcher-player pool, we got Mike Clevenger as the most expensive option on DraftKings. He's $12,200 against the Tigers. Clevenger is clearly the number one option on this slate. Your next most expensive guy is Jose Barrios, and he is in a pretty good spot facing the White Sox. There is almost over a $2,000 price tag difference between Clevenger and Barrios, but I feel like there's going to be enough value bats to go to where you can fit in Clevenger. So he's my number one guy for this early slate. Clevenger's been great this year. He's been an elite pitcher. It's a great matchup against the Tigers. He dominated against them earlier this year, going 6 innings, allowed 6 hits, 1 run, got 12 strikeouts, 35 DraftKings points last time he faced the Tigers. We could easily see a similar performance for Clevenger here. 25 to 30 DraftKings points kind of feels like his floor, and I think in this matchup he has 35, 40-point upside. So I'm going to be paying up for Clevenger. I know he's really expensive at $12,200, but like I said, there are some good value bats you can go to on this slate. We have multiple teams with pretty high totals. Indians, A's, Astros, Twins all have over a 5 implied run total. So those are probably going to be the teams we look to for hitters. And each team has a couple value bats we could go to. So I'm going to be paying up for Clevenger. Then you have Barrios at $9,900. Who I do like a lot. In lineups where I go really, really cheap for my hitters, I'll try and get Barrios and Clevenger together. Or lineups where I maybe want to get a couple more expensive bats, I'll probably take out Clevenger and put Barrios in as my SP1. I do play a lot of lineups for MLB, so I'm not going to go all in on Clevenger. I'll definitely have some exposure to Barrios here. I do prefer Barrios over Greinke. Greinke $600 less. Gets a matchup at home against the Rays. I don't mind Greinke here, but I just feel like Barrios has the better strikeout matchup, getting to face the White Sox. The White Sox are one of the highest strikeout teams versus right-handed pitching. The Rays, on the other hand, are not a team you get a ton of Ks from. So between Barrios and Greinke, I would prefer Barrios. But then you have a guy like Chris Bassett for $8,500. Chris Bassett does stand out as one of the better SP2 plays. There really aren't a ton of pitchers on this slate you feel good about besides the top 4. Once you get past Clevenger, Barrios, Greinke, and Bassett, there's really not a lot of guys you're going to like. You have Cease facing the Twins, very tough spot there. Trevor Richards facing the Astros, very tough matchup there. Daniel Norris is going to be the opener, so he's not even going to pitch long into the game. Drew Verhagen, not a great pitcher. Don't really want to play him against Cleveland. And then you have Glenn Spartman, who's a terrible pitcher. I guess you could consider him because he's $4,400, but that's obviously not a play you're going to feel really good about, taking Glenn Spartman. So I feel like this is definitely a slate where I'm going to be paying up at pitcher, spending like $20K for my pitchers just because there's no other options I really feel good about. So I do like going to Bassett as your SP2. You play him and Clevenger together, you're only left with $36.62 remaining per player, but that can definitely be worked around today. Like I said, there's some value bats I like that we will talk about. But Bassett's in a pretty favorable spot here, facing the Royals in Kauffman Stadium. Royal Stadium is a pretty pitcher-friendly park. It looks like there are going to be winds blowing out to center. It's going to be 82 degrees, so maybe more favorable for hitters given the weather. But the ballpark does play more friendly towards pitchers. Just a 4.3 total for the Royals. Bassett's a pretty heavy favorite at -179. It's just a really bad Royals lineup. It's a Royals lineup that has strikeouts in it once you get past the top 4 hitters. So I do like Bassett a lot here. I feel like he can easily give you 20 DraftKings points in this matchup. And $8,500, just looking at the other options we have on this slate for cheaper, getting 20 points out of Bassett's probably going to be good enough. So I'm going to be going Clevenger, Bassett a lot today. I'll definitely have some lineups though where I go Clevenger, Barrios, and really go for cheap bats. I'll have lineups where I go Barrios, Bassett, and kind of spend up for more bats. Barrios, Greinke. I'll just be mixing and matching those top 4 guys. I don't think I'm really going to get any exposure to anyone else besides just a couple shares of Glenn Spartman across all my lineups just because Glenn Spartman's so cheap. But now let's talk about some hitters. I want to start off with Cleveland. Cleveland's probably my favorite team to go to on the early slate. They're going to be facing Daniel Norris to start off the game. Looks like Daniel Norris is going to be the opener, just going to pitch a couple innings. Then it's going to be Drew Verhagen coming in. Both of these guys are not very good. Norris and Verhagen both aren't really good pitchers, so this is definitely a great spot for the Indians. I really like either the righties or the lefties. Doesn't really matter. You want to take righties against Daniel Norris, so like Lindor, Mercado, Santana, Puig, Reyes, Chang, Perez. Those guys are all good plays. But then once Norris comes out, you're going to get Verhagen in the game. And he's a right-handed pitcher, so you'd obviously want to take some lefties against him. Guys like Kipnis, Santana, switch hitter, will be batting left then. Lindor will be batting left. Greg Allen will be batting from his left side. You can really target this lineup top to bottom. A couple value guys I like, Kipnis and Chang, batting 6th and 7th, are both very cheap on DraftKings. Kipnis is $3,800, Chang is $3,400. These are definitely going to be guys I go to for value in my Indian stacks. I feel like I'm going to have a lot of Indian stacks on the early slate. Definitely going to need some cheap hitters, and these two guys do stand out quite a bit. So Kipnis we're going to like here when he's facing Verhagen. Obviously, if he has to face Norris in his first at-bat, it's probably not going to be great because it's a lefty-lefty spot, but then once Verhagen comes in, he'll be facing a right-handed pitcher, and Kipnis much better versus right-handed pitchers. Still a guy that has power, 14 home runs on the year. It's just a really good spot for the Indians, a spot where you project them to score runs. So I'm going to be going to Kipnis a lot at only $3,800. And then Yu Chang, one of the call-ups for the Indians, I do like here as well. He's a righty, so whether he faces Norris in his first at-bat or whether he gets Verhagen, it's really going to be a favorable spot regardless. He's very cheap. He got called up because Jose Ramirez got injured. Only $3,400. Probably going to be batting like 6th or 7th. Feels like a really good value here. Definitely like going to him as a value play in my Indian stacks. So the Indians are a team I like quite a bit. And then in lineups where I don't have cheap Glenn Spartman, I'll definitely have some exposure to the A's. The A's are very cheap as well. There's a couple value guys you can target in the outfield. So Chris Davis got placed on paternity leave on Wednesday, late, like Wednesday afternoon. So he's most likely going to be out of the lineup, which is probably going to bring in a guy like Seth Brown, who's only $3,300 on DraftKings. I like him quite a bit as a value. We could potentially see Grossman batting second. He's only $3,900. A guy like Chad Pinder might crack the lineup, and he's only $3,500. So the A's are another team you could potentially consider for value. But Brown I like a lot here. Left-handed hitter going up against Glenn Spartman. Spartman's just been terrible this year, really to both sides of the plate. He's just not a good pitcher. It's a really good spot for the A's. It's a spot where the A's project to score runs. Seth Brown's probably going to be batting like 5th or 6th at only $3,300. Feels like a really good value play in the outfield. So these are my 5 plays for DraftKings for this early slate, guys. 4-game early slate. I gave you three hitters all under 4K, so you're still left with $3,760 remaining per player. If you want to build around these 5 guys, you should still easily be able to do so. If you go with like a cheap catcher, if you punt the catcher position, should definitely be able to get in some more expensive bats. Should be easy to build around Clevenger and another expensive pitcher with all the value we have at hitters today. But let's go ahead and look at some stacks real quick, and then we'll talk about some BVP before we end the video. So my two favorite teams on the early slate are definitely going to be the Indians number 1 and the A's number 2. I think the Indians and A's are 2 teams I'm going to be targeting a ton. But I'm also going to have a little bit of exposure to the Astros against Trevor Richards. Astros aren't my favorite stack. They're pretty expensive. It's going to be hard to fit them in with an expensive pitcher, but in lineups where I have Glenn Spartman, a cheap SP2, probably could get some Astros bats in there. And then the Twins against Dylan Cease are for sure in play, but the Twins are also very expensive, and if you want to get exposure to them, you're probably going to have to go with a guy like Glenn Spartman. It's going to be pretty tough to pay up for pitcher and then get a twin stack in there. But if you can do like a 2 or 3 man stack, like a maybe Polanco, Rosario, both guys are $4,700. I could see doing that. But I really like the Indians and I really like the A's, just given how much value there is in both lineups. But looking at BVP for this early slate, there's only one BVP play, and that's James McCann against Jose Barrios. McCann has gone 7 for 18 with 3 home runs off Jose Barrios. So that's it for the early slate, guys. 4-game early. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. Like I said at the beginning, I will be covering the 6-game night slate later tonight. I'll have a video up for that. This will not be my only video for today. I will be making another one later on tonight. But hope you did enjoy. Make sure you drop a like if you did, subscribe if you are new. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. Or like always, you can hit me up on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT if you do have any questions. But good luck tonight, guys. Appreciate you watching the video. We will see you in the next one. Peace.